Honorable Senator Warner.
Mike.
Honorable Senator Warner, Congresswoman Spanberger, Virginia Assembly senators, delegates, candidates, and other elected officials. We are grateful for your service, for being our shield against the assault on Virginia values. But first, I wish to extend our gratitude and our thanks to our veterans and their families in the audience, men and women in uniform, men and women of our law enforcement and their families. Thank you for your service. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for maintaining peace on our behalf. We are grateful for that. I wish to extend our gratitude to all our elected officials that are gathered here and our candidates, and there is a very specific reason which I explained. Virginia values are under attack by Republicans, not only in the state of Virginia, but throughout the country. Wherever I have traveled, I have been asked, how is Virginia doing? How is Virginians doing? And I give them an example of 2017, how Virginians are doing. I give them example of 2018, how Virginians are doing. We were only one vote short, but we learned our lesson. And why did 2016 happen? It was because most of America was not participating full speed in our elections. Our adversaries had known that weakness. We learned that lesson hard way. We learned that lesson. We got up in 2017 and we decided that we would fully participate in our elections. Then 2018. It is reported that in 2018, the number of people throughout the country, and especially in Virginia, the number of people that have voted, they have never voted in that large number, and you see the result of that. So participation matters. It is not by our choice that we face the current dark moment in our history. But look, I know a little bit history of this nation. McCarthy era was worse than the time that we are facing today. But immediately after, at the end of McCarthy era, came the golden time of our civil rights. Our civil rights leader rose up, stood up, and uplifted the entire nation to higher dignity, uplifted entire country, made us an example of beacon of hope for the rest of the world. Your time, each and every one of you, and especially the candidates, the elected officials, please know you might have not chosen this difficult moment, but this moment has chosen you. And I have seen the sunrise on the other side of the mountain. It gets real dark before the sun rises. I have seen the sunrise. You know where it is rising from? It is rising from Virginia. It is rising from Virginia. I'm grateful for your presence. I'm grateful for this enthusiasm. I fear this, but then when I come to such events, not only here but throughout the nation, I am heartened to see the determination that we will shield our country, we will shield our state against the government's assault on our healthcare, on our education, on our peace and safety in our school for our children, and so on. But this is what I have seen, I have experienced twice in my life authoritarian regimes when I was growing up. This is what they do. You can draw the conclusion, and please remember this, henceforth it is obligatory on each and every one of you to remember, if we do not fully participate in our electoral process, in the sanctity of our elections, we could be facing that fate. Here is the proof. This is what authoritarians do. Free press is enemy of the people. Look at the history of the dictatorships. Look at the history of the authoritarians throughout the world. They attack the free press, number one. Number two, I will appoint my own judges. These judges do no justice. I will appoint my own judges. You can draw the conclusion. Third thing they do, things are not working out. I am going to implement the national emergency. I have read the National Emergency Act of 1976. Keep in mind who's sitting in the White House. You know the character of this executive. It gives 123 additional powers to the president. Some of them are secret, that you and I or the Congress or the courts cannot interfere. Think about that when you decide that, oh, my vote doesn't matter. And worse, what took place last week, I was amazed to hear that these are the tendencies, these are the practices of authoritarians, of dictators. How dare somebody speaks and thinks like that in my blessed land, in our blessed land, in our blessed country. If elections are not in my favor, elections are rigged. If elections are in my favor, give me the list of all of those who opposed me. I want to make sure that they are taught a lesson. These are the practices that we have faced since 2016. It's up to us, our nation, our country, that had been beacon of hope for the rest of the world. It is still, with all this difficulty, it still remains beacon of hope for the rest of the world, rest of the humanity. It is obligatory on all of us that we maintain the values of our Constitution, our rule of law, our compassion. This is the character of this nation. After Second World War, when the entire world was shattered, guess who rose up to rebuild the entire world? It was United States of America through its Marshall Plan. That is the character of America. That is our heritage. I humbly request that today is, or tonight rather, is the end of the quarterly campaign deadline tonight. Make sure that each and every one of you participates in meeting that deadline for all of the campaigns, and ask your friends to participate in it. It is dark time, but as I said, I have seen the sunrise, and it rises from Virginia. Hopefully next time when we gather, I remember coming here last year prior to the election, we see the results. Next time when we come, we will have the majority in Virginia Assembly, both in Senate and in the House. This participation is not only necessary for only Virginia, but throughout the country, participation is so absolutely necessary. As I mentioned, that our adversaries saw that weakness, that only a small percentage of Americans are participating. They were able to put their dirty hands in our fair election. Our leaders of our national security have stated that our elections were interfered, the process was interfered. It is up to us to maintain the sanctity of our elections. It is, and that can only happen by participation. Participation by getting up and going to vote, asking your friends to vote, and these elections and these campaigns require more than just simple vote, requires our resources. Each month I save, sometime I go to drink coffee, but I skip once a week, and I save that in my mind that I have saved so much money in a month, and that is allocated to put my share to defend our democracy, to defend our Constitution. And I urge all of us henceforth to be the campaign workers. At our station, wherever we are, we have an obligation, we have an opportunity to defend our democracy, defend our Constitution. It will remain, regardless of the change in the White House, our struggle must continue because of this assault on various faiths, this hatred and division that have been sowed by our enemies in this nation must be eradicated. And it is not a matter of one election, but many elections. We must remain vigilant, we must remain proactive, we must remain speaking. I am grateful. Thank you. God bless. God bless you.